This is Top 30. Coming up, Roseanne broke down in her first interview since the scandal. Ohio has declared a statewide outbreak, and it's spreading. And the world's ugliest dog winner will steal your heart.
A U.S. safety watchdog has released a list of summer toys and products they say are dangerous. World Against Toys Causing Harm, or WATCH, put water balloon slingshots at the top of the list of summer safety traps. The group says launching water balloons up to 150 feet creates the potential for injuries, and that balloons can be a choking hazard for small kids. Lawn darts came in second. Pointed darts were banned under federal law in the 80s, but WATCH says even newer blunt versions can be hazardous. Toys with wheels that sit low to the ground are in the third spot because their height can make it tough for drivers to see kids. The list also includes swimming pools at number 4. WATCH cited concerns about drowning. All-terrain vehicles were at number 5 because the group says they can roll over. The trade group, the Toy Association, criticized the report. Their vice president said all toys on store shelves are subject to more than 100 safety tests and standards required by federal law. WATCH says about 2.5 million kids go to the emergency room every summer, and that most of those accidents are preventable.
All right, let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedlides. Nicole, Facebook has a new feature.
That's right, Richard. Pretty soon you may be able to see how much time you actually spend on Facebook. That's because the company is testing a tool to show how many minutes users spend on its platform. The unreleased Your Time on Facebook feature is currently buried in Facebook's Android app. Elon Musk says that Tesla's autopilot has an actual Mad Max mode in the works. The CEO shared the feature settings on Twitter, and it includes a Mad Max option in blind spot threshold. Apple is getting ready to launch a couple of new products next year, including higher-end AirPods, a new HomePod, and studio-quality over-ear headphones, according to Bloomberg.
Nicole, what makes AirPods different?
The AirPods will reportedly have noise cancellation and will be water resistant, but you won't be able to swim in them, as the water resistance feature is mainly to protect against rain and sweat. They'll probably be priced more than the current model, which currently costs $160.
Very interesting. Nicole, in New York, thank you. A San Francisco woman called the police on an 8-year-old girl who was selling bottles of water outside their apartment building on a hot day. The little girl's mother posted video online of her confrontation with the neighbor.
Illegally selling water without a permit?
Yeah. On my property.
It's not your property.
Allison Ettel says she has received hate mail and death threats, and now says she regrets how she handled the situation. And Game of Thrones star Kit Harington married Rose Leslie over the weekend in Scotland, with many of their co-stars in attendance. Known as Jon Snow in the hit HBO series, Harington had an on-screen love affair with Leslie until she was killed off in season 4, so fans went wild that the two are now happily married in real life. And the world's ugliest dog has been crowned. Meet Jar Jar, an English bulldog with an absurdly long tongue. Her owner, Megan Brainard, took home $1,500 for the title and said of her prize-winning pooch, "She is just so ugly, she's beautiful."
Danielle Knox from Fox 35 Orlando has what you need to know today. So, Danielle, I hear new research says exercise has a surprising new health benefit.
Yeah, that's right, Kristen. If you are feeling depressed, hitting the gym may help your body and your mind. A new study found strength training was linked to a significant reduction in depression symptoms. Researchers say it's a compelling reason to exercise since it's an affordable treatment that you can do at home. The study was based on past research, and so researchers are still trying to determine whether exercising was the only reason why symptoms lessened. Research is showing frozen OJ may actually be healthier than fresh squeezed. Researchers in Spain say we absorb more nutrients from frozen OJ than from fresh. They say the frozen, broken down molecules make it easier for our bodies to absorb, while the fresh stuff may have a higher concentration of nutrients our bodies are not able to absorb at the same time. Well, if you are feeling sleepy at work, grab a pillow, join the club. 9 out of 10 employers telling the National Safety Council that tired employees are having a negative effect on their business, and more than half saying that they've actually had workers fall asleep on the job. The report also found that tired employees end up costing companies missed workdays, lower productivity, and increased health care costs. No, I'm not yawning. You're yawning. And And that's what you need to know. Kristen, let's go back to you now.
Trust me, without my coffee, I'd be in struggle city. Thanks, Danielle.
Welcome back to Top 30. 5 states have declared a hepatitis A outbreak, and officials are trying to make sure it doesn't spread. Ohio is the latest state to make the declaration after 79 cases this year so far, almost double the number of last year. Dr. Suzanne Gilberg-Lenz joins us now. Doctor, welcome. What exactly is hepatitis A?
All right, so hepatitis A is a form of a virus that attacks the liver. There are multiple different forms. This particular form has some good news, which is that it will not cause permanent liver damage in most people, as opposed to the other forms of hepatitis. But the virus does attack the liver and cause multi-organ system issues: fatigue, vomiting, nausea, fever, other gastrointestinal symptoms.
It's caught how?
So here's the thing. It is caught via fecal matter,
Right.
which is what that sounds like, generally through food. Through a food source or through food preparation with somebody who doesn't realize that they've been exposed, maybe has been ill. Poor hand washing or hygiene can cause it. So I think that's probably what's going on here and why it has spread so rapidly.
And are we talking about, do you think, poor hygiene in the home, or are we talking about poor hygiene in professional establishments like restaurants?
More than likely in a restaurant situation.
Okay.
More than likely.
Doctor, thank you very much. Roseanne Barr broke down in her first interview since the cancellation of her show. ABC cancelled Roseanne after Barr wrote a tweet comparing Valerie Jarrett, an African-American advisor to former President Obama, to the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. One day after the cancellation, the comedian did a phone interview with spiritual advisor Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. The rabbi has now posted the audio online. Barr can be heard crying when she addresses the incident.
I'm not stupid, for God's sake, and I never would have wittingly called any black person say they are a monkey. I never would do that, and I didn't do that. And if people think that I did that, it just kills me.
Barr also said she was impaired after taking the sleeping pill Ambien and that she has lost everything. Reruns of Roseanne were pulled from several cable networks. Barr was dropped by her agents at ICM. ABC has since ordered a spin-off of the show called The Connors. It will include the rest of the cast, but not Roseanne. The network says Barr will have no creative or financial involvement in the new show.
Turns out horses have a lot more going on upstairs than people might think. Through various studies, Dr. Leanne Proops has determined that not only do horses respond differently to happy and sad human faces, but they actually form lasting memories. So a horse will behave with a human according to the mood they last saw them in. For example, when Dr. Proops put models with horses that had last seen them frowning, the animals were more likely to show stress-related behaviors like scratching and floor sniffing. But when reunited with the model they'd last seen smiling or laughing, the horses spent more time looking at them with their right eye, which is associated with positive social stimuli for horses. Dr. Franz de Waal said the horse family has the most expressive faces after the primates, so logically they pay attention to faces and expressions. Horses surrounded by people have ample opportunity to learn what our expressions mean. So if horses could talk, they'd probably say, "Why the long face?" Major packaged food brands are struggling to adapt to changing consumer tastes. Companies like Campbell's Soup, Heinz, Kellogg, Hostess, and Nestle are seeing their sales go down as consumers shift to more natural products like produce and fresh meat. Experts say a few major trends are forcing packaged food brands to reevaluate their business model. Digital advertising has allowed small niche brands to reach bigger audiences. The rising sales of meal kits and other prepared food products have kept people away from grocery stores. Sales of dry packaged goods are moving online to sites like Amazon. And major supermarkets like Kroger and Walmart are investing in stocking their shelves with products made directly by them. According to the Wall Street Journal, 16 major packaged food and beverage CEOs have been replaced in recent years as the brands struggle to identify new ways to reach consumers. So only time will tell if the brands you grew up loving as a kid stick around on those store shelves.
Orlando International Airport will be the first U.S. airport requiring a face scan of every passenger on all arriving and departing international flights. That includes U.S. citizens. The process involves a camera taking a picture of the traveler's face and comparing it to the Department of Homeland Security database. Customs and Border Protection officials say it takes less than 2 seconds and has a 99% match rate. They say the goal is to electronically screen passengers quickly and efficiently, and these scans will help achieve that goal. Privacy advocates are questioning how the images will be used. They also want to know what happens if someone is rejected by the equipment, since there are no formal guidelines detailing the process if a passenger is wrongly prevented from boarding. Government officials say installing the cameras costs $4 million, and they plan on rolling out this program in other cities in the next year. We'll be right back.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 7 Austin, Army veteran Charles Nelson developed kidney disease after a case of strep throat went untreated. In 2016, he needed to get a kidney transplant. The good news, his son was a match. The bad news, the VA denied him coverage for the surgery because his son wasn't a veteran. Well, Charles used Medicare to cover the surgery, but he felt strongly that other veterans shouldn't be put in this situation. So he contacted his congressman, and recently, the Veteran Transplant Coverage Act was signed into law. It allows veterans to choose their transplant facility, and living donors no longer have to be veterans. In our second story from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, the My Fairy Godfathers Foundation provides and styles high-quality wigs for women battling cancer for free. It was started 3 years ago by Andrew Ashton, the owner of La Posh Salon in Clearwater, Florida. And he says it means the world to him to help these women restore their confidence.
We just feel in our hearts we're doing the right thing and making people feel wonderful and feeling confident and beautiful.
And so far, they've given away hundreds of wigs. And in our final story from Fox 9 Minneapolis, 8-year-old HAILEY Dawson was born with a rare condition that affects the development of her right hand. She wears a 3D printed robotic hand made especially for her. And she's made it her mission to throw out the first pitch at every major league ballpark in the country. She got halfway to her goal at a recent Minnesota Twins game. And HAILEY's expected to hit every ballpark by mid-September of this year. Welcome back to Top 30. A 13-year-old boy in Illinois is facing a felony eavesdropping charge. He used his cell phone to record the audio of a conversation with his school's principal and assistant principal. The 10-minute discussion about detention was in the reception area of the school's secretary's office with the door open. But in Illinois, you have to get the consent of all parties before recording a conversation. So now all this drama has unfolded. So the student tells the principal, listen, I recorded the conversation. The principal eventually tells the authorities. This makes its way into court. And now, listen to this. This 13-year-old could receive a sentence which includes time in juvenile hall and a $25,000 fine.
Well, he could. I mean, he's not likely to get the maximum sentence.
Okay, but I'd be terrified.
Yeah, but it's one of those cases where you think, couldn't they have just said to him, oh, don't do that. You're not meant to record conversations. Yeah. You know, here's why it's illegal. Don't do it again.
Turn it into a teaching opportunity.
It's not how you would react or how I would react in that situation.
Absolutely not.
But that school has reacted like that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I hope this blows over and nothing happens except the ultimate teaching opportunity that should have happened in the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. All right, a man in Paris learning how to trade stocks opened an account with a British brokerage firm. He deposited about $23,000, but thought he was practicing with a demo account, but when he was down more than $1 million, he realised this was real money. Instead of stopping, he continued to trade and turned that loss into a profit of about $11.5 million. But then the firm have not given him the money, saying that actually by trading for real, he was in breach of his contract. So he's now trying to sue them to get this money that he didn't think he'd won.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that story.
This guy's lawyer is saying that the company, the brokerage firm, never imposed any limits on trading, so his client's well within his rights. I mean, didn't he do a good job for being in a bad situation?
Yeah, you would have thought the company might go, wow, okay, hang on a minute. You're a trainee, but it turns out you're like some Jedi master at trading. This is great news for all of us.
I know, right? This guy thought he was getting a promotion.
And all they've done is fall out with him and end up opposite him in court.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
Grown-ups can be silly.
Very silly, as we've learned in both of our stories.
Well, let's
so
see
far.
if we can strike out with a third.
Yeah.
Okay, the book was better than the movie. You hear that a lot when a novel is transferred to the big screen, right? But a new study indicates audiobooks may be better than both. A doctor played audiobook clips from powerful movie scenes to see how people would react. He compared that reaction to what happened when people watched the same scene, and it turns out the people who listened to the audio recordings had a much greater emotional response. Their heart rate increased, the blood flow and whatnot, to the audio recording, which is interesting. I mean, I would have just guessed off the top of my head that it would be the other way around.
Would you? I wouldn't.
A movie would be more emotionally stimulating.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah, because it's about recreating the scene in your mind, as the report explains.
Yeah.
But by the time you're sort of hours, days, or weeks into a book or an audiobook, when you get to a crucial moment, you're so invested that it's all, you know, the impact is much bigger.
See, I never get to that point because by that time my son throws a ball at my head.
Adults and children can be so silly.
You're so right.
Top 30 will be right back.
Let's face it, we all spend way too much time on social media, but it turns out staying away from the computer could be good for our health. Cody Goff, host of the Curiosity podcast, joins us from his studio to talk about this. So, Cody, I hear we might want to log out of a certain social media site.
That's right, Kristen. Science says you might want to take a break from Facebook. In a new study, researchers rounded up Facebook users and measured their life satisfaction, stress levels, and moods. But they also took saliva samples to measure cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone generally linked to stress. The higher your levels, the more stressed you probably are. Well, guess what? There was a huge drop in cortisol levels after just 5 days off Facebook. Now, these results are not super conclusive because the cortisol levels might have gone down depending on what else the subjects were doing instead of being on Facebook. But a 2015 study out of Denmark had people quit Facebook for a week, and they saw a 55% decrease in stress, along with an uptick in face-to-face socializing. That's big. Author Cal Newport suggests quitting Facebook for 1 month just to see what parts of it you really miss and which parts are mindless browsing. You might be surprised at what you learn. Kristen?
Well, I know I would miss those Facebook memories, but maybe one day I'll give it a try. Thanks, Cody. You can check out more on curiosity.com.
Canada became just the second nation in the world to legalize recreational marijuana. Canadians will officially be allowed to puff pot starting on October 17. Legalization has been a major campaign platform for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who backed the Cannabis Act proposed in 2017. Trudeau announced the legalization this month and tweeted, "It's been too easy for our kids to get marijuana and for criminals to reap the profits. Today, we change that." Under the new law, adults are allowed to carry and share up to 30 grams of weed in public. Adults can also cultivate up to 4 plants in their home and make products like edibles for personal use.
June is Gay Pride Month, and it's a chance for members of the LGBTQ community to come together, commemorate the advancement of their rights, and embrace their individuality. And Coco Dominguez from Fox 26 in Houston is taking us inside the pride traditions of the country's 4th largest city. Hi, Coco.
Hi, Kristen. That's right. Rainbows, good vibes, and love. That's what Pride Month is all about. The celebration started as a way to remember the Stonewall riots of 1969 in New York City, a pivotal moment in the gay rights movement. Fast forward 50+ years and you'll find Pride events full of people whose sexual identity falls outside the mainstream. It's all about standing out, which is just what the people walking in this year's Rock the Runway fashion show did. LGBTQ communities around this world all have this 1 month in common, and activities are planned around the clock.
Well, looks like a great way for people to celebrate. Thanks, Coco. Last year, Jenny and Gary Landsman found out their toddler Benny and newborn son Josh both have Canavan disease, a fatal genetic disease that leaves children with a lifespan of just 5 to 10 years. Refusing to accept that there was nothing they could do, the Brooklyn couple did their research and found a form of gene therapy that could treat the devastating disorder. But because of funding cuts, the lab needs an extra $1.5 million to develop it. So in November, the Landsmans humbly reached out for donations via GoFundMe, and to date, they've already raised $1.15 million.
I put out our call for help, and the world answered. And it was beyond overwhelming.
what can I say? I mean, you know, we're blown away.
They're close, but the fight isn't over. For more information, you can visit their GoFundMe page.
That's a great story, and that is it for today's Top 30. Here's what's coming up on the next show. Ashley Madison is a dating site for married people with 54 million members, and a new report breaks down the cities where most people sign up. Plus, how one new restaurant is making burgers to order without any humans in the kitchen, and the story of an Army veteran who hiked 15,000 miles. You can also hear the day's biggest stories by subscribing to the Top 30 podcast on iTunes. See you next time here on Top 30.